Hey guys, and welcome back to another week of Porsche Cup action here at the Hungaroring for week 6. My name's Matt Emery with Coach Dave Academy, here for another hot lap guide. And yeah, let's get into the hot lap. Okay, so let's get into the hot lap guide then for the Hungaroring circuit. Very twisty circuit in nature, with a lot of long radius corners as well to deal with. Head down to turn 1, slightly downhill with our braking zone. Heavy braking just before the 100-meter boards, and also you're looking at about 150-meter boards. Well, there's actually no board along the left-hand side, but you're looking at about 150 meters just before you slam on the brakes. It's very easy to lock up as well. As I mentioned, it's slightly downhill into turn 1, so something you've got to deal with. And obviously, since this new update with the Porsche, brakes aren't as peaky as they were, so you can't use all of the brake pedal that you would like to normally. So looking about 80% for braking for turn 1. You can see the brake trace here at the bottom of the corner, bottom of the page, sorry. Into turn 1, make sure we take a nice sort of U shape round the corner, turning it nice and wide, and then using all of the apex curb. Back on the throttle in second gear, notice we short shift quite quickly at the apex up to second gear. Just make sure I don't get that wheel spin, and then all the way out to the curb on the left hand side. Pull it back to the right hand side for turn 2. And then again, braking just in line with the 100-meter boards on the right hand side. Again, only about 50% here, and then just trailing really nicely into the apex of the corner, following around this white line at the apex curb. Turning in slightly earlier than we were for turn 1. You notice we were more sort of out here for turn 1, but you want to be more central and turn in slightly earlier. Just make sure we use the camber. You see the track slightly falling away from us at the apex, so you want to use that to our advantage. Turn in slightly earlier. Obviously, I mentioned as well, it's quite long radius corners. So this is a prime example, turn 2. It just goes on forever, especially in this Porsche Cup car with limited downforce and limited sort of aero, especially at the front end. So yeah, turning in nice and early, trailing that brake pedal all the way into the apex, and then back on the throttle in second gear. Keep it in the middle of the track for the exit, and open up this right-hander as much as you can to the left-hand side, just to make sure we don't have to lift too much. Completely flat, in fact, through here, and then using all of the curb on the exit as well. You don't get an off-track for this, so using the Astro is absolutely fine. The track in general isn't too harsh on track limits. So just make sure you are using that to your advantage, and I'll show you that as we go throughout the lap. Towards the end of Sector 1 then, we head back up the hill, and then flick it into the left-hander, using this curve just to open up the corner as much as we can, and then get the nose in nice and early on this apex curve. You can use slightly more, just cut the inside here, just to make sure you get a bit more apex speed. And then using all of the exit as well, Again, absolutely fine. This is not an off track, so you can use sort of the edge of the curb here, as long as you've got one of your tyres on this curb. And then into the right hand again, back up the hill, taking a nice tight line, a lot of entry speeds. Let's get it slowed down at the midpoint and then back on the throttle in second gear, using all of the exit curb as well, and into this tricky chicane. Similar to the last corner, you just want to make sure you're opening up as much as you can onto this curb on the entry. So using all of this curb, get it flicked in second gear. Again, just making sure we have one tyre, this time on the white line. For the chicane, it's a bit different. Just want to make sure you're not cutting this bit too much. Otherwise, you do pick up an off track. And then flick it across this orange curb on the inside. Again, just making sure we've got a tyre on the tarmac and on the white line. This orange curb is absolutely fine to use. Doesn't unsettle the car at all, really. So yeah, flick it across there. Just shorten the distance of the corner. Back across then, and again, just making sure we're using all of this curb for the entry to the next corner. Then flick it left, maintaining third gear, using all of this apex curb as well. And in the middle of the circuit, flick it back across, and just holding that minimum speed through here. Notice we're coming constantly on and off the brake pedal just to balance the front end, make sure we're getting that turn in. Obviously not trying to snap the rear too much. Back on full throttle, using all of this AstroTurf. I mean, that is pretty much the limit of where you want to be for this corner. If you go any further than that, you will pick up an off track. Just make sure we've got one tyre on the curb. As I said, it does vary a bit corner to corner here. So this is one of those corners where you just want to keep one wheel on the curb. Get it back across then for this next left-hander. Now, usually in like the Formula cars or the prototypes, this would be absolutely flat. In this car, as I said, got limited aero, limited downforce, and the car's quite heavy. So you want to open this one up as much as you can. And it's just a small lift at the apex. Just make sure we stick it to the left-hand side to open up the next right-hander. Again, using this curb on the left-hand side just to open up the next one. And then flick it down to third gear into the apex. Not using too much of the apex curb just to make sure we don't unsettle the car. If you get up here and touch the grass, you know, it's quite easy for the rear end to come round on you. So just be careful and mindful of that. Straight across the curb on the exit, sorry. Again, this corner you can be quite daring with your track limits. There is a slight ridge you can see, which can sometimes cause a car to become a bit unsettled, but should be absolutely fine. Most of the time, you see we catch it a bit there, but as long as you get back across in time, you should be okay and don't lose too much time. Again, the limit is really the edge of the curbs here, so yeah, you don't have to worry too much about the white line. We can push it a bit further for that corner. And heading into the final sector, heavy braking zone, down to third gear initially, braking just after this 100-meter board and just in front of this curb as well. So that's sort of your braking reference, just in line with that 100-meter board on the left-hand side up here. Down to second gear, using the apex curb, and then back on the throttle again, using all of this AstroTurf on the exit as much as we can, so we can get on the throttle as early as possible. And into the final two corners of the lap, two really tricky hairpins. Again, similar to the start of the lap, really tricky long radius corners. So second gear for this one. Notice how we're turning in fairly early, but also just staying quite central as well. Just rounding it off, taking a really nice wide line in to get a really nice exit out of the corner. And we've got a lot of lock on here, just to make sure we're aiming for sort of this white line as the exit. Just about there, as we nicely hit, and it gives us a nice straight exit towards the final corner. Obviously, with some other corners, or maybe in another car, you'd be taking sort of a narrower line and sticking it to the white line. But as I said, limited downforce, so it's better to take a lot more entry speed, get all your turning done at the midpoint, and then on the throttle as straight as you can towards the final corner. Again, middle of the circuit here, really wide on the entry, and then cut it back for a nice straight run to the line, and use all of the curb on the exit, which completes a lap of the circuit. So that was the hot lap guide then for the Hungaroring circuit for week 6 of the Porsche Cup car here on iRacing. My name's been Matt Emery with Coach Dave Academy. Obviously check out the website, coachdaveacademy.com, and also the Discord, all the latest data packs, and any questions you guys have, you can check out down there. But yeah, I will see you next week for week 7, guys, so take care.